What do you think of your neighborhood park? Is it a place for you to unwind, to let your kids run free, or to let your dog explore its senses? Since the COVID-19 outbreak, there have been multiple province-wide lockdowns. During this time, your kids must have asked a million times to go to the parks, or your dog must have pleaded for a walk every hour like mine did. Hopefully, this led you to venture out to your neighborhood park at least once or twice. Well, I have a confession to make about my own lack of appreciation of the outdoors before the pandemic. When I first came to Ottawa from Toronto in 2008, one of my first projects was a landscape design of a stormwater management park. It's a large naturalized storm pond that would be serving a new subdivision in South Ottawa. And this site is located along a river and surrounded by existing woodlands. As a big supporter of native plant species, I ensured the entire site would be covered with native trees, ground covers, and shrubs. During the design construction period, I was on this site almost every week. And immersing myself in this natural setting, listening to the birds singing and the river, the sound of the river running in the background. It's this peacefulness was an oasis for me, a perfect escape away from the office desk. As one of the first projects that I had in the nation's capital, I had formed an affinity with this urban wildscape by the end when this project was completed. As I reflect on this special memory, I'm embarrassed to admit how long it has been since the last time I was in this park. It was the final inspection in 2009. And the funny thing is, this park is about a 10-minute walk from my house. When the first provincial lockdown came into effect, I started working from home like many of you did. My dog was the happiest member of the household because the number of walks that we would go on. We started exploring new routes every now and then, and this is when I thought of this stormwater management park and that how I had not been back in about a decade. As I walked down the path closer to the pond, I had to look around to make sure I was in the right place. I was amazed by the sizes and varieties of the trees and plants and the amazing amount of wildlife. I saw a lot of my neighbors were there with their families and they were all enjoying this space. At that moment, I was reminded of the reason why I chose this career path to be a landscape architect. To enhance human connection with nature and to create space for people to interact within nature. There's a long history of human appreciation of nature. Our ancestors, they observed the movement of the sun, the moon, and the stars, and they believed in the importance of seasons. They worshiped ancient trees and natural creatures, and they cultivated food and medicinal plants from the land. They learned that nature is vital to human survival, and that All their essentials of life came from nature, and nature was everywhere. I grew up in Hong Kong, a city that is similar in size than Ottawa, with a population that is 7.5 times more. So basically, Hong Kong is a concrete jungle filled with skyscrapers, where land is as variable as gold, and open spaces are constantly in battle against commercial interest. When I first came to this country 23 years ago, I was like Columbus, discovering the new world. The access to parks, greeneries, and fresh air were just beyond what I could have imagined. But just like everything else in life, people tend to take things for granted over time and subconsciously think that things are going to be there forever. Today we live in a digital world. There's no doubt that technological revolution has altered completely the way that we communicate with each other. A large part of our social lives take place on virtual platforms such as Facebook's, Instagrams, and Twitter. We're so busy, and we seek out conveniences on a daily basis. Our expectations for instant gratification are so heightened that even the slightest delay seems like an eternity. In design school, we learned that parks are multifunctional. Other than being recreational venues, they are tools for us to mitigate and adapt to environmental crises. They made us more climate resilient and help us conserve natural resources. Green infrastructure absorb heat and rain, cool off surface temperature, and provide habitat for wild creatures. Our water bodies are important natural habitat for fish, reptiles, amphibians, migratory birds, and many other animals. And our trees are the best carbon capture machines, pollution filters, oxygen producers, and natural air conditioning. Over the course of the pandemic, our visual and sensory experiences has helped us to realize that green spaces support our mental and physical health, and also fostering social cohesion. Human being is a social species. We like to hang out together in groups. Remember high school? So we should ask ourselves, why do we spend so much time sharing superficial emotions of likes and dislikes on Facebook when we could be enjoying our parks and connecting with nature? I'm willing to bet that natural endorphins work way better than the number of likes a person gets from a tweet. Everyone should feel equally safe, respected, and welcome in their own community. And parks help foster an appreciation for diversity, encourage community involvement, and enhance civic pride. Dynamic open spaces help to build and strengthen community ties by bringing diverse populations together and increasing social capital. Green spaces helped us to adapt to new challenges and equip our communities with constructive responses when social or environmental emergencies arise. For example, the tighter the bond between neighbors, the better we react to a shock, such as a tornado or a heat wave, because people are more willing to lend a helping hand. Parks are our shared common spaces. They are centerpieces of our community. And they are natural places for human social networking. We can use the power of our parks to educate and inspire our younger generations. In addition to the health benefits, our parks create a healthy urban ecosystem for all of us. This is true not just of public parklands. What if I told you that we all have the power to do it, and then we can all join in this movement? Every one of us can help in the battle against climate change, increase biodiversity, and promote social stability just by creating green spaces in our own backyard, on a rooftop garden, on a restaurant patio, or on a balcony of an apartment. All these individually created green spaces add up. And on a larger scale, connecting green corridors between neighborhoods, parks, bike lanes, strip malls, schools, and even parking lots increase our overall climate resiliency. Community-based projects, they animate open spaces, such as creating community gardens, hosting food sharing events, or organizing farmers markets. All these activities turn our parks into social hubs that draw people to the outdoors. This would not only help with increasing the sense of belongings of community members, this would also unite people to the fight against climate change. The reality is, there's no planet B. We're all in this together.